minutes. That's all it took for Tiffany Henyard to be out as the Democratic nominee for Thornton Township supervisor, and she left here visibly upset.
You didn't run this the right way. Illegal.
Township has found itself at the center of a political storm in a story full of lawsuit accusations and dramatic confrontations as Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Thornton and current superintendent of Township, fights to save her position of control while lawsuits fly. Her political career is in ruins, and the pandemonium surrounding her has captivated both her followers and adversaries. The story unfolding in the small Illinois township has all the makings of a political drama, with meetings turning into public spectacles and charges of voter suppression and corruption.
The judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
The political landscape in Thornton Township took a drastic turn earlier this month when Tiffany Henyard was unable to win the Democratic nomination for Township Supervisor in a rare and contentious caucus that replaced the traditional primary election. Illinois State Senator and Thornton Township Democratic Committeeman Napoleon Harris emerged as the Democratic nominee, but her name was noticeably missing from the ballot, disqualified because she failed to include a certified assessor, a technicality that infuriated her and led her to accuse Harris of putting together an unjust procedure to disqualify her from running for office. "You didn't handle this properly." Henyard was heard yelling as she confronted Harris following the caucus, adding, "Illegal Napoleon." The heated exchange marked the beginning of a barrage of accusations, legal challenges, and ferocious public rallies as Henyard vowed to fight back. Henyard and her allies have claimed that the caucus process was red-pointing to allegations of voter suppression and venue manipulation, which they would argue was intended to stymie participation from her supporters. Her team has presented videos and eyewitness accounts alleging that Harris's followers crowded the room while many of her supporters, notably the elderly, were left out in the cold. The images of the elderly supporters being shut out of the proceedings further strengthened Henyard's claims that the system was biased against her. Harris's camp has denied these allegations, stating that the caucus followed all the proper procedures. However, Henyard's failure to be included on the ballot represents a significant setback to her political ambitions, casting doubt on her future movements and intensifying the already noticeable tension in Thornton Township's political arena for Henyard. Now that she has the Democratic nomination, Harris must deal with the politically charged environment in a community that is deeply split by loyalty ideology and accusations of misconduct as the fallout continues. The fight is far from over, as she has pledged to continue her campaign by investigating legal avenues to challenge the results and rallying her base in what she frames as a battle for justice and fairness. It is certain that the politics of Henyard and Thornton Township will be just as controversial as the circumstances that led to them.
We made sure they had ones, and we also told our board to come upstairs due to the fact they had several ways to exit out.
Her lawyer, Burton Odson, dismissed her accusations against the Democratic caucus as unfounded and said they would not defend themselves in court. Despite this, Henyard's persisted in bringing a lawsuit against Napoleon Harris and the Democratic caucus, reaffirming her claim that the process was fraudulent. Her lawsuit depicts voter suppression, manipulation, and systemic bias, but Harris and his legal team have steadfastly rejected these claims. Accusations outright people in Thornton Township may find caucuses strange because they haven't been held here in decades, but Harris defended the caucus, claiming that it followed all legal procedures and was conducted fairly. This approach has been common in other townships across Illinois. Harris clarified that the process was not just valid, but also a state-recognized strategy, highlighting the tension surrounding this uncommon caucus that took the place of the conventional primary election. Residents of Thornton Township are struggling with issues of fairness and openness due to the town's significant divisions. Her charges center on Henyard's exclusion from the ballot because she failed to include a certified assessor on her slate, a crucial detail portraying her as a victim of political sabotage. Her relentless quest for justice, however, is met with strong opposition from Harris, who who seems equally committed to defending his candidacy and refuting her story. As the play progresses, it reveals that for now, Harris's steadfast stance on the fairness of the caucus and Henyard's vow to expose what she describes as a deeply flawed process keep this story from ending, promising more twists and turns. Thornton Township is embroiled in political turbulence with legal challenges, public debates, and Henyard's unwavering defiance setting the stage for an intense battle. Whether her lawsuit succeeds or fails under legal scrutiny will undoubtedly shape Thornton Township's political future.
A new legal battle brewing in Dalton between the mayor and some village trustees.
As Regina Waldrop explains, it has a lot to do with 2 meetings held earlier.
At the center of the intense dispute is the controversial choice to hold a caucus rather than a primary election. This is a first for Thornton Township, which has not used a caucus in decades. Opponents of the process, including outgoing Mayor Tiffany Henyard, contend that Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris and his allies planned this change on purpose to consolidate power and push her out of the race. Henyard expressed her distaste for the process, saying that if they could have defeated me, they would have cast ballots, suggesting that the caucus was a ploy to marginalize her. However, her critics present a very different picture of in her dual capacities as mayor of Doon and supervisor of Thornton Township. Henyard has faced criticism for her divisive and hypocritical leadership. Allegations of managerial incompetence and financial misconduct that never stopped following an initial investigation into Dalton's finances headed by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. The seriousness of these claims gained momentum. The investigation revealed concerning information that Dalton's general fund balance fell from a healthy $5 million in 2022 to a startling deficit of over $3 million by mid-2023. This fiscal mismanagement further unraveled into accusations of extravagant and careless spending. Cost evidence emerged that Henyard used the village's credit card for questionable transactions, accruing tens of thousands of dollars in personal purchases through online stores like Wayfair and Amazon. One particularly egregious example was a one-day shopping spree that totaled an incredible $43,000 on Amazon alone. These revelations have painted a stark picture of Henyard's priorities and financial ethics, adding fuel to the fire of her critics' accusations of dishonesty and hypocrisy. Henyard attributes her political setbacks to calculated moves by her opponents, and the shadow of her alleged misconduct looms for a long and the township must make important decisions that will have an impact well beyond this election cycle. For many in Thornton Township, the move to a caucus system is both a practical and symbolic move against Henyard's contentious tenure. These accusations combine with the ongoing election drama to create a volatile mix of political tension and public mistrust, setting the stage for a decisive reckoning. Whether Henyard's victim narrative wins out or her critics' accusations of systemic failings stick, the township faces grave consequences.
To correct those things that the Attorney General require. And so we believe that for that reason, the meeting was supposed to...
As mayor of Dalton and supervisor of Thornton Township, Tiffany Henyard's financial mismanagement is allegedly widespread beyond Dalton, extending into Thornton Township, where she has been accused of using public funds to support a lavish lifestyle. This alleged misuse is particularly offensive to residents of both areas, where the median income is significantly below Henyard's combined annual salary of nearly $300,000. For those who are struggling to make ends meet, Henyard's perceived extravagance includes spending money on personal stylists, makeup artists, and opulent lodgings, offends the working-class community she purports to represent, as many locals think she is more concerned with maintaining her comfort and appearance than with solving urgent issues in the community. The locals' dissatisfaction extends beyond Henyard's spending patterns and includes their perception of her disregard for the community's fundamental necessities. Thornton Township and Dalton are facing numerous unresolved issues, including declining public services, an increase in crime, and crumbling infrastructure. Driving around Dalton is a daily reminder of Henry's misaligned priorities. According to one irate local, Roads that are in poor condition, broken sidewalks, and broken streetlights highlight a sharp contrast to her stated spending on personal indulgences. These obvious indications of neglect incite citizens' ire as they question why their taxes are not being used for the general welfare. Instead, they witness a mayor who appears to put ego projects ahead of their health, hiring expensive makeup artists while fundamental municipal requirements go unfulfilled, and public gatherings frequently serve as flashpoints for these annoyances. Locals express their ire over the purported financial carelessness and call for accountability and transparency, but many say their concerns are regularly disregarded or ignored. These interactions further solidify the perception among many that Henyard is disengaged from the hardships of those who elected her, utilizing her authority to further her personal reputation instead of tackling the structural problems. Residents of the neighborhood point out the contradiction in her claims of leadership and service when basic necessities like repaired roads and operational street lights are given little priority. The disappointment is made worse by rising crime rates, which make residents feel more vulnerable while seeing little real response from local leadership to get better safety of the public, whether it's Thornton residents facing unsafe conditions or Thornton Township families wondering how public funds are allocated. Critics contend that Henyard's actions go beyond simple mismanagement and reveal a deeper disregard for the welfare of her constituents. For them, her lifestyle is representative of a larger failure to fulfill her responsibilities, which has only deepened the divide between her administration and the community she oversees. There is a rising sense of discontent, with many believing that her leadership puts personal benefit ahead of community development. This view is supported by public complaints and demands for accountability from the residents. In addition to failing to address these problems, Henyard's leadership has made things worse, making people question whether their votes and trust were misguided. These claims, together with growing proof of financial irregularities, have put Henyard leadership under close examination and forced it to doubt the viability of her political career. But Henyard has remained defiant and rejected the criticism as politically driven. The gap between her way of life and the circumstances in the region she oversees is still a glaring and divisive issue.
My vetoes. So I got 7 vetoes here.
Critics have also drawn attention to Hen's dubious use of township resources during the caucus. Reports surfaced that she transported her supporters to the caucus using township buses, which her opponents contend was an unethical use of public funds. To make matters worse, many of the buses arrived late, leaving her supporters stranded outside in bitter cold. This error caused one voter to doubt her managerial skills, arguing that she shouldn't be allowed to govern a whole township if she couldn't even plan her own campaign. Henyard Harris, her political competitor, used this as more evidence of her poor preparation and leadership abilities. I would like to express my gratitude to my two trusts, Trust SAS and Trust HS. Because of Brown's appearance, the tension surrounding Henyard has been exacerbated by the growing perception that she uses intimidation to control. The divide between her administration and the community has grown as a result of accusations of favoritism and fear tactics, according to several anonymous township employees who said they felt pressure to support her campaigns or risk losing their jobs. One former employee even described a workplace where loyalty to Henyard was more important than acting in the best interests of the locals. These allegations of a toxic workplace culture are now being brought up alongside her financial troubles, which help to create the impression that the administration is becoming more disconnected from its voters. The scandals don't end there. During her time as mayor, Henyard was accused of abusing her position of authority, including using police raids as a weapon against companies that refused to support her events. In one instance, a D-based business owner accused Henyard of retaliation after he refused to support a civic event shortly after his license was withdrawn and his firm was raided. Critics say that these actions are part of a larger pattern of intimidation and corruption under Henyard's leadership. But you don't even have the decency to look in our face. Instead, you just steal our money and do what you want to do, even within her administration. Similar raids were reported at several local bars where the owners claimed political harassment. The way that Henyard leads has caused debate. Robert Collins, the former chief of police in Thornton, accused her of using police resources for her personal safety, which left fewer officers available to patrol the streets because she likes the idea of having police officers all around her. Despite these growing scandals, Thornton trustee Brittany Norwoods said it makes her feel important. She said at a recent Township board meeting that she is the target of a political smear campaign that is attacking her because she is a strong Black woman in power. Her rhetoric has struck a chord with some supporters who view her as a trailblazer who is fighting against established political interests. But even among her supporters, there are beginning to be accusations of financial impropriety, and her capacity to overcome her cancer has been called into question due to poor management. For example, a charity has drawn criticism for not disclosing how it uses its money. The charity has received a warning from the Illinois Attorney General's office to stop operations unless it conforms with state laws. The only community where obtaining a business or liquor license requires legal representation, according to critics, is this one more instance of Henyard's disrespect for accountability and transparency. As the legal battles progress, the stakes are high for Henyard and her opponents as she loses her complaint in the Democratic caucus against Harris. In the meantime, her re-election campaign for Thornton mayor faces significant challenges. Rivals are using her scandals to galvanize opposition trustee Chasen House, and one of her challengers has pledged to restore integrity to Thornton's leadership. This message seems to be gaining traction among frustrated residents, which is new at 6 in battle. Her only chance to stay on the ballot for Thornton Township supervisor would be as a write-in candidate, which is a steep uphill battle in any election. Announcement in a post currently on her Facebook page, Henyard's management of Thornton Village's finances is the subject of an ongoing investigation. The investigation into Henyard is being led by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who discovered in August that the general fund for Thornton Village had a negative balance. The response of the public to Henyard's saga has been a mixture of indignation, incredulity, and fatigue, with social media being inundated with remarks from locals and onlookers, many of.
But you don't even have a sense to even look in our face. But you rather just steal our money and do what you want to do.
In a furious statement that echoed Henyard's, Woods attacked the media, accusing them of bias and disseminating false information. His unrepentant remarks, however, simply helped to heighten the flaming spectacle around the ongoing debate. Critics counter that the media attention is warranted. Given the seriousness of the accusations against Henyard, the political climate in Thornton Township and Thornton is undergoing a dramatic change as this SAA keeps coming apart and new details keep coming to light. What was once hailed as a groundbreaking tenure has now turned into a divisive spectacle that has left residents and political analysts split. But her tenacity and combative attitude have won her many admirers. The ever-increasing string of scandals, charges, and legal troubles, from claims of financial mismanagement to inquiries about her leadership style, every revelation threatens to exacerbate the situation, which could ultimately prove too big to overcome. Fractures in her political foundation, her defenders contend that she is the victim of political sabotage intended to destroy her legacy, while her critics contend that the seriousness of the charges indicates that accountability is finally catching up with her. Residents of Thornton, Township, and Thornton have been captivated by the continuous drama with. There are intense discussions about whether Henyard is a flawed, resolute leader under siege or an official abusing power who is now being held accountable. Regardless of the truth, the uncertainty surrounding her political future only heightens the tension, and the stakes are higher than ever. Clearly evident in the community as confidence in local leadership is in jeopardy. Whether Henyard survives the storm and maintains her hold on power or is overthrown under growing criticism, the resolution of this story will have a long-term impact on the governance of the region and the confidence that its residents have in their elected representatives. Tell us what you think of this developing political drama in the comments section below. Regardless of your point of view, one thing is certain: This tale is far from done, and the fight for Thornton Township's future is far from over. Is Tiffany Henyard, a resilient leader, unfairly singled out, or are these disputes a sign of deeper problems that cannot be ignored any longer? It's only getting started. Watch this space for additional updates on this inspiring story of desire, disobedience, and possible failure.